David Adams here, and I'm kicking off the 3 Count podcast in style here from the luxurious confines of my car. Brother, how you doing?
I'm in fashion.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count podcast presents Now Entering Ring, and I'm your host Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. That's right, you should be calling me your Sherpa because I've asked you so many times now to be calling me your Sherpa. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering ring. And who's entering ring today? Well, you can find this man at IWA Vintage Pro Wrestling. You can find this man at Invictus. You can find this man at 302 Pro, Wrestle Pro, Titan. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed his hoodie, House of Glory. That's right. He is the man, the myth, the legend. And, you know, the one who's introduced tons of your childhood favorites to include Mwah. That's right. It is the man, the irresistible one, the insatiable one, Dave Adams.
Man, you are taking my job with that announcer gimmick. That was pretty good, bro. Wrestler and announcer combined. I thought being a ring announcer and a commentator was pretty talented, but bro, first and foremost, thank you for having me on the 3 Count podcast. From the luxurious confines of my car, like I said, I apologize, but thank you very much, and we're going to have a good interview here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hell yeah, man. I'm super hyped that you were like, yeah, I'll come on. And I know, like,
Yeah, of course.
because like we run into each other at so many different shows, and then like I just like slid in your DMs. I was like, hey man, you want to come on the podcast? You're like, is this Red Dog? I was like, yeah,
hello.
what's up?
He goes, hello, sir. This is
Yeah.
Clifford Miller. I would like to know, and I'm looking at the picture going, we call each other by our, like, my ring announcer name, by your worker name, in the business names. And I'm like, bro, this is Red Dog, right? I just announced you last week. I'm like, of course I'll come on your podcast. I was like, you're trying to approach me all respectful like a complete stranger, though. I was like, always, bro. Once we work together, we bros, bro. So I'm happy. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. It's funny because like I always think about that kind of thing. It's like I always tell people, like I go and I meet people and I'm just like, hey, like, do you want to come on the podcast? And they're like, yeah. And then when I reach out to them, like I just come all formal because it's like I still just like, I don't know, it's still just it's surreal to me that like I talk to so many different people and ask them to come on the show and talk to them. And I'm sure like, you've probably had like that same kind of instant where like you're meeting new people or like maybe like favorites of yours, and then you're just like they're all just like, hey, what's up, man? You're like, dude, sir, it's so cool to meet you. And they're like, whoa. First of all, no sirs.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Yeah, I mean, this sort of thing, it's just part of our business. I mean, for a lot of people, if you're on the outside looking in, the wrestling business is pretty much like the military in many aspects. Your newbies coming out of the training school are your privates, and you got your captains, your generals, your lieutenants, your veterans of the sport, basically. And I think it's a good courtesy. I mean, a lot of the old school training has disappeared over the years. I mean, I got my own opinions about that. But yeah, I mean, I've been in the business 11 years, and there is handfuls of brothers, veterans that I still call sir, and they're all like, sir, and I'm like, and then I'll be like, all right, brother, but it always begins with sir. It's just when you're trained the right way, it's just second nature, and without respect in this business, that's like the foundation, I think, of pro wrestling is respect.
Yeah, definitely. And you bring up a good point that like it's really weird that the wrestling world is a lot like the military because like coming from the Air Force side and like coming into this whole place, I'm just like I address everybody by and I guess I was raised that way too, but then even just coming in, I'm just like, hey, what's going on, sir? Hey, what's up? And just chatting it up with people. But it's definitely weird to hear that structure too, because I never thought about that way as that like people who are green are like the brand newbies of week 0 of basic training. And I'm like,
yes,
I like that a lot.
And the key word is structure. I don't want anybody that's been in the military to say, did he compare pro wrestling to, I've served for my country? I'm not saying that. The people that have served for their country are the strongest people in the world. But it's just that mindset, the way that the pyramid breakdown is. It's so similar because I have family members that have been in the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and even they're like, and they've been around the culture. And it's just, I think it's good, though, because with that structure comes discipline, and military discipline and pro wrestling discipline without discipline, I don't think you're going to make it too far in the business. So it's definitely one of those things that's kept me going all these years. Is I like the fact that even as crazy as it gets, when you get to the core of it, you can still find that wrestling a discipline that keeps you coming back for more.
Listen, he may not be saying it, but I certainly would say it, that it 100% feels like it. But the other part too, and I talk about this a lot with people, and you can kind of you can agree or not disagree. It's kind of cool. But in the military, right? Like the one thing I really loved was the fact that everybody was on the same page and working the same missions, right? Like we were all pushing forward to something bigger. And
Yeah.
looking at the wrestling crowd now, it's the same thing. Like the wrestling crowd is working a lot like the military, where we're all have this one goal, this one giant push that we're all looking for, and that's to like entertain fans. Whereas like in the military, it's obviously protect the country, but you work towards that same goal. And I always find that to be like intriguing, and I think that's why I don't want to say like I do well, but I fit well into like this community.
No, absolutely. I've seen how you interact with the fans too, and the fans, they just adore you, and definitely happy that I met you. And yeah, the bond you have with the fans at IWTV Vintage is definitely something special, and I can appreciate that.
So for our people who don't know who you are, and we've kind of gone into this already like 6 minutes in, who is Dave Adams?
Well, David Adams here, ring announcer, commentator, hype man, everything but the wrestling. Y'all can keep that wrestling there. I'm the guy that likes to hype up the talent. The fans they don't pay to see me, but they appreciate what I do. I've been told to try and put over the talent because I know how hard it is. I've seen the training regimen, and y'all bust your butt. And I just like to be that guy that gives those over the top entrances. And I try to pride myself on interviews as well, because you always want to keep yourself relevant in the business and always keep those envelopes coming in. So if there's a ring announcer, then I always try and get booked as a commentator. If there's a ring announcer and a commentator, hey, maybe I could be your backstage interviewer. Gotten into trying to be the hype man for some wrestling conventions. That's a cool gig where you just get to basically just dress up in a nice tuxedo and walk around and make the talent feel comfortable. So basically, yeah, just try and be that guy that tries to get all the talent to tell their story and put it over so the fans can further invest in them.
Yeah, I like that aspect of like the sport, the business, the performance, whatever you want to call it. I love that aspect because it's just something like there's like this fine line, and I know I've talked to like a couple other people who do ring announcing and even commentators, and like they always talk about that fine line, like of not wanting to get themselves over, but to always make sure that the talent gets over. But there's just certain personalities that you just get attracted to because like the way they tell the stories.
Yeah.
And listening, because like sometimes I'll be in the ring and I'll hear you doing commentary. I can't help but like try not to laugh because I'm like try not to smile. But
Yeah.
it's definitely fun listening to you call matches.
I appreciate that compliment. Yeah, I mean, I try my best. It's tough trying to carry DB Richard on my shoulder, my broadcast colleague, but I'm glad you enjoy the commentary, even though I'm stuck with him. I'm kidding,
Yeah, well, I mean,
DB. I know you're watching this. Love you, bro. Can't wait to work with you again very soon. I believe. Let's get that plug in here. I believe we are going to be on March the 16th or April the 16th. Time machine. April the 16th. We got a new home. Super Crazy Wrestling Entertainment Center in Westville, New Jersey. IWA Vintage coming back with authority.
yeah, I'm hyped because I think they're starting to run monthly out of there now, right? Because that's the big rumor. So you
Yeah.
guys can.
That is, I believe that's going to be. I'm not gonna put any words in out of Atticus Reigns' mouth, but I may or may not have had some private talks with him, and it sounds like this is going to be a venue for a while because he has a good business relationship with the owners over there. He's comfortable there, and all the dates that he wanted to run were open. So it sounds like it's going to be a good partnership for a while, and that Super Crazy Entertainment Center. That's becoming the Richfield Park of South Jersey. If people know about North Jersey, there's a building in Richfield Park that gets used for, 8, 10, 12, 15 different promotions a year. I mean, they make that building rental money. You got to appreciate that. And my boy O-Dog and Sienna Duval, down in Westfield. They got that building going really good there, and people are comfortable, and the fans love it. The talent loves it, and the promoters love it. So it's become a pretty popular building, and it's a cool building to film in because it's like black concrete walls. The sound is really crisp in there, and you can have a real intimate atmosphere. But yet you can be right up in the action, but still be safe, basically.
Right. And that's one thing. So I've been in that building like numerous times now, whether it was with like HWT or coming up, I obviously IWA is gonna be there. But one show in particular too was Invictus. Like I was there, just kind of popped in, wanted to hang out as a crowd. But
Yeah.
I love the building because, like you said, the sound is like it reverbs like so well. Like I'm just like you get these loud bangs, and like so if you're a big person and loves watching big slams, yeah, this is gonna be about the time where you want to get in and check it out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the events that get filmed there now are filmed on IWTV. So I know I know IWA Vintage isn't there yet, but I certainly know that they've got their eyes on at least investigating that IWTV platform. So who knows? There's nothing signed, sealed, and delivered, but I definitely know that it's been talked about, and I'm sure that Atticus Reigns and the rest of the management there would love to eventually get IWA Vintage on that elevated platform. Because yeah, how crazy! Invictus Pro, everybody was running that day, but we had a 2 p.m. bell time. The City 8 open, and you got to see talent from like all over, pretty much the Northeast, all the way from New England to Pittsburgh to Philly to Baltimore. I mean, it was a pretty amazing event. What did you think about that, bro?
Yo, I was okay. So I had to be Team DC and Team Baltimore because obviously I got a rep, being from Baltimore. But
Yeah,
yeah, having friends like Moses as well as O'Shea, having Mr. Grimm, Killian McMurphy, AK, right? But then what was crazy is like I had to also like pull myself away because as much as I'm repping and Jordan Blade as well, I can't forget
of
Jordan.
course.
But I had to pull myself in, right? Because Davian has also been on the podcast, MLK has been on the podcast.
Yeah,
Uh,
amazing talents.
yeah, so many great people that have all been attached. They were all
Yeah,
there, and I was like, yo. So as like we're talking and stuff, I was like, this is wild. Like a bunch of people that I've literally had on the podcast recently. They've all
yeah.
they're here. So I was
It
like just having fun talking with them.
it took all my power to stay neutral because that opening match was Team NYC versus Team Buffalo. And, I'm tight with a lot of those dudes from the NYC team. You had Cashflow Ken Broadway, you had Leroy Green, you had Jay Bougie. And I mean, I'm cool. I'm cool with all three of those guys. We've worked the scene. I've worked with Leroy and Ken at House of Glory. I work with Jay Bougie at Titan Championship Wrestling and Funhouse Wrestling. So I mean, it was definitely I had to stay neutral, and they unfortunately did lose in the opening round. But I mean, the concept of a trios tournament with 8 different teams, 24 competitors. I mean, it adds to that unpredictability personified. It was a great tournament.
Yo, I'm not even gonna lie. I am such a massive fan. I cannot wait to either see like another promotion like mimic that or just Invictus bring that back for like a second round. And I know 3 guys from Baltimore who will legitimately just want to show up and just bomb out on that show. So,
Yeah.
Alex, call us. We got we got
Alex
you.
is Alex is a good dude. He's got a good eye for talent, a good eye for wrestling, and the 2 events that I've done commentary with them was a good time. That was one of those rare events where I wasn't booked for ring announcing, as they have an amazing ring announcer. The Wrestle Pro ring announcer Ryan Peterson announces there, and he is tremendous. But I for only the second time in my career, I got to sit down. I got to do commentary with the voice of a generation, Peter Rosado, and we once like 5 years ago at a show did one match together, and I was like, man, I got to do a whole show with you, and it took 5 more years to finally do it, but yeah, it was not. It's like iron sharpens iron. When you get to work with somebody that's a professional and respected in the community. I mean, the founder of We Are Wrestling. I mean, you can see how the talent just is magnetized towards him in the locker room. He's got a great mind, and I really appreciated getting to work with someone, and he had been working for them for the past couple of months now, so he had a lot of the backstory on the storylines. I was trying to play catch up as I hadn't worked for them for about a year. So definitely showing up there, and then you have this 8-city open, and you want to sound like you know what the heck you're talking about. And I think as a team, we did pretty good together. And hopefully we get to continue that team at some point down the line. I had a lot of fun there. It was a good time.
Yeah, so like I've had Alex on the show a couple times, whether it was like Invictus or we brought him on as a special guest for our debate show, or just even when I had this for the first time, like this whole new setup, like I invited him on. He was the first person I invited on to come check it out outside of the 3 Count podcast. And yeah, we had a great time, and then we brought him on the show to talk about the City 8. And it was just to me, it was just surreal because I remember that idea getting brought up to me as an idea. And he was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And I was like, "Oh, I think that'd be kind of cool." And then to see the evolution of it all, and I was like, "This is insane." So yeah, no, and to hear you guys doing commentary, I was kicking it with Kid Chic. Like I thought he was so cool. Like
Yeah.
I'd much rather just there.
Yeah, IWTV, their commentary setup was awesome. Sometimes I don't like to wear the headphones because I get like a reverb in my ear, and I really lose touch with the fans because I'm a big fan. I'll do post-production commentary, especially if the envelope is nice and fat. But I'll do whatever the promoter wants. But in a perfect world, I love live commentary because you can truly get that true intimate in the moment emotion. Instead, I mean, I've been blessed that I have the ability to recreate that live event emotion. But if I have a choice, yeah, their headphone setup was really good. I felt like I was really in touch with the event and the crowd the whole time. Wasn't the biggest crowd in the world, but the crowd that did show up, they were wild, they were lively, and they were full of life. And they were, they were treated to 3 hours of great entertainment courtesy of Invictus Pro Wrestling. And anybody that wasn't there live got to enjoy it on IWTV Live, the most live wrestling IWTV. I'll plug those guys all day long because they're always good to me, and they always want to make sure that the announcers have good like headsets and the microphones are crisp.
I was like, I may know a podcast that's looking for a new home, possibly leaving YouTube, and maybe just being a part of IWTV. I don't know. We'll get in touch. It's one of those things.
Put yourself over. I'm allowing you to put yourself over on your own podcast. Does that make any sense? Wrestling. Get your stuff in, brother.
Yeah, I gotta get my shit in, bro. Like, so I'm curious, man. Like, so we did talk about this, like, this balance, this line, right? This very fine line that comes for a commentator or a commentator, or even just a ring announcer, like putting talent over without like actually getting themselves over. So I'm kind of curious, like, how do you set that tone? Like, how do you set that line?
I never think about myself. I get so into it because like my highs and lows, my adrenaline goes up and down for 3 hours straight, especially on commentary. Because I had the sound mixer guy next to me. He's like, "What's your commentary style?" I'm like, "Are you the mixer?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Stick tight with me, little baby bird. We're gonna be adjusting this sound all night long." He's like, "Okay." He was good like that, but it's it. I mean, I know I'm there. After 11 years, I mean, I've been told I'm pretty well respected by the fans and the talent for doing my job. So it's just like it's like the best job ever. You don't go there like it's a boring 9-to-5 office job. I go there like this is the greatest job ever. As soon as you walk in that door, anybody that has an ego, that door to me is like the curtain to the locker room. There's a curtain that separates the locker room from the fans, but there's also a proverbial curtain that separates the parking lot from when you enter the locker room. And I think when you enter that invisible curtain, you should put all selfish egos aside. Not everybody does it. This is my own personal opinion for the record and how I do it. And it's all about the team. And yeah, I mean, David Adams here. That's become like my thing. David Adams here has nothing to do with David Adams. David Adams here at IWTV, IW Vintage, Super Crazy Pro Wrestling, Titan Championship Wrestling, Funhouse Wrestling, House of Glory Pro Wrestling. Next Friday night, April the 15th, Queens, New York City, House of Glory returns, and the Amazing Red returns, defending his 6-way Cruiserweight Championship, Tribulations, live on Fight TV. Get your tickets now. HOGWrestling.net. Sorry, got to throw the plug in there for my home fed right there. But yeah, but seriously, it's just all like right there. David Adams here represents. I created that hashtag like 11 years ago, and I wanted it to be David, and I wanted to be the announcer that I don't care about being the best. The best announcer passed away a couple years ago. Howard Finkel's always going to be the best announcer. I want to be a consistent announcer. I want to be an announcer that whether people like me or hate me, because in this business, you're not going to like everybody, but we have a mutual respect for each other for the craft that we love. I want all, whether talent like me personally or just like me personally, I like to know the fact that when they see me in a locker room, they can take us like a breath, like, oh, David Adams here. Shit's going to be organized and shit's going to be crisp, and I'm going to have a good entrance, and he's going to help keep the timing between the matches, nice and crisp. No empty ring between matches. The announcer, get your ass in the ring out and be the reset button between matches. That way, I never want a fan to go on their phone, want to don't take a piss until intermission. Don't get up to get any food or souvenirs till intermission. Basically, I don't want, if there's an empty ring, the fans will get bored in like 2 seconds and they might walk away. And then the next match comes, and now maybe you lost 5, 10 fans that are doing their thing, and that takes away from the talent that they're trying to entertain. So, I mean, I want it to always be about the talent, and I want it to be about the fans being entertained. I know this has been true from the fans' perspective because as an awesome compliment on commentary, and I've been told this hundreds of times now in over a decade, that fans, you were saying how you enjoy the commentary. Well, the fans must agree, because a lot of fans, when they get to the venue, when you got to pick your seat, they purposely want to pick a seat close to the commentary table so that they can hear my commentary in their ear. So it's like a movie. They're watching the visual in the ring. They don't have to look at me. It's not about looking at me, but my voice adds the narration to what they're visually seeing in the ring. And when I heard well, when we get here, we get seats as close to you as possible. You're great, and you really and you really enhance our experience. And I'm like, that's probably the greatest compliment. It's nice when people say, "Oh, you did great," and they want to, blow smoke up your butt sometimes. But when a fan tells you a genuine compliment like that, like they pick their seat close to you because you help enhance their $20 that they spent to see the show, I'm like, dude, that doesn't get any better than that. That's what we're doing. Is we're here to entertain, and if you can entertain and be likable, and they actually enjoy your talent, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, that's probably one of the nicest compliments fans have given me over the years.
Oh, that's awesome, though. And I definitely
Yeah.
like I said, just I go back and listen to my matches and stuff like that, and I just make sure especially for the last IWA show, not the one where I was with Dave Dahl, but the match I had with Prince Machiavelli, and listening to you and DB go back and forth, I was like, yo, this is actually so much fun. I was like, this makes the match a lot better, and especially listening to DB talk about my gun being an illegal prop.
Yeah, the invisible gun concept was pretty good there. DB's got a great personality. We have kind of opposite personalities, which acts really well. We can feed off each other. He's got way too many rules. He's always talking about his own homemade rule book. So, but those rules seem to benefit the heels and not the faces as much, I've noticed. So, but it's all right though. It's always good to have that commentary partner that you can bounce off of like that. I have a good time doing solo commentary at times, and doing my best at Joey Styles, rendition. But when you have a good broadcast colleague, it definitely can enhance the product even more. And I mean, fans are going to watch the wrestling no matter what. But I mean, a lot of fans will tell you if they don't like the commentary, they'll either lower the volume or they'll mute it and they'll just watch the wrestling and they'll put music on in the background or some shit like that. And that's the ultimate. That's how you're not doing your job right. If people just want to watch the wrestling and they want to mute the commentary, then you probably need to go back and think your skill set, because whatever you're doing is not working, obviously.
Facts. So I'm curious, man, because you do a lot of talking and stuff like that throughout all of the your performance with your commentary as well as in the ring. So afterwards, I'm sure you probably get parched, you probably get hungry and stuff. So I need to know, man, what's that post-match meal that you got to have after a show?
Well, first and foremost, if I can ever get a sponsorship, Halls. Here we go. Halls Relief. Relieves coughs and soothes sore throats. Cools nasal passages. And my coworkers at my weekday job always think I'm sick, but I'm like, I just enjoy cough drops. I don't like chewing gum. It keeps my voice nice and crisp. And Arizona green tea with honey and ginseng. Yes. Pay me my money. I put you guys over every time. But that's my go-to during a show. I don't, honestly, I mean, I don't like to eat too close before a show. I mean, honestly, 4 hours is my line. If I got a show at 7, I'm either eating by 3 or I'm not eating until midnight, 1 a.m. But yeah, on the way home, you're kind of limited a lot of times, like with like the super crazy entertainment venue in Westville, New Jersey, 1030 Delcia Drive, Unit 4W. Remember, we've got IWA Vintage Pro Wrestling Saturday night, the night after House of Glory in Queens. We go to Westville, New Jersey, Saturday, April the 16th. IWA Vintage debuts at the Super Crazy Entertainment Center, the home of the best chicken fingers in all of gosh dang dirty Jersey. Yeah, Melissa will love that. Melissa cooks those chicken fingers and they are fan-freaking-tastic. But my go-to at night, like I drive on the Jersey Turnpike and really the rest stops is really the only thing to go to. And usually like Chick-fil-A is closed, Starbucks is closed, Popeyes is closed. But my go-to baby girl is always Burger King is always open. So I get the greasiest double BK King, whatever the double BK, something like a half pound of meat in my mouth. That's right, David Adams here, and I love to put a half pound of meat in my mouth after a wrestling event. There you go. That's on a podcast forever frozen in history. But yeah, I always go for like a double quarter pounder or a double king or whatever. Bacon, cheese, something that I normally wouldn't eat in my daily eating habits. I don't use really the word diet. I think if people want to eat healthy, change your eating routines. Diet. The word diet sucks because the diet puts pressure on people, and then they usually don't stick to it. But if you just consider it like a life-changing sequence of daily routine, I think it'll be a lot easier for people. People ask me that all the time because apparently, but I lost like 25 or 30 pounds since COVID took over the world, and now we're finally out of that shit show, thank God. And I really didn't do anything except just eat a little healthier. So that was it. I swear I'm not dying. I hope not. Well, at least not now. I guess we're all slowly dying, but not now. I still have a lot of announcing time left. Man, if I just jinx myself and this is some Final Destination shit, there you go, bro. You got the last pop of David Adams. But I'll stop talking all crazy like that.
Yeah.
But to make a short story long, yeah, double BK King, extra cheese and bacon, and it's fan-freaking-tastic.
I know my trainer is like always bugging me. He's like, we gotta go to Wendy's. We gotta go to Wendy's. We gotta go to Wendy's. I'm like, whatever. Let's go to Wendy's. Shit.
Wendy's is fantastic too, but it's hard to find a Wendy's open past like 12 or 1 sometimes. But BK, man, they take that slub money in the middle of the night. They love that shit. I'm pulling open like my envelope, taking out my like sweaty bills that are in my pocket, but it's great. That's what never work for free, kids in the wrestling business. Get paid, put gas in your car, and get like BK. It's a dream, brother. Living the dream. I work for gas in Burger King. There you go. Spoken like a true indie vet. There you go.
Yeah, I hear you 100%. Hey, so I'm kind of curious. I want to kind of change the gears a little bit and just ask this question though. What's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn in the business?
I'll keep it vague. Sometimes you think you have a relationship with people in the business where you think that you can switch the gear from wrestling world to real life, and you can you might be going through a real life problem and you think you've known people long enough that you could discuss real life problems, and you learn really quickly and very shockingly you can't tell people everything, and that's not for everybody. I do have a handful of tight people that I can confide in, but I've made the mistake in the past of had some trials and tribulations in my real life, and I really was going through some shit, and I tried to tell it to some people, and it backfired on me, and I didn't get the support that I thought I'd get, and instead, got a cold shoulder. So, it was shocking, but it was also a revelation that this is a business, and these people want to know David Adams a lot of times. They don't want to know what you do in your real life when you enter that venue, and when you leave, and from the time you enter the venue to the time you leave the venue. That's all they want to know. And that's it. And especially if you're being paid for said services. And many, many years ago, I was like, oh, I'll enter the wrestling business and I'll make lots of friends. You will make lots of acquaintances. You can make a lot of business partners. Friends, very limited. And it's not an insult to anybody. I mean, I think that's just the way it goes. Is there's a lot of competition for only a certain amount of spots, whether it's wrestling talent, announcers, referees, podcast guys, live stream guys to film the events, the camera crew. So I think you still have to be open-eyed that there still is that healthy and I say it's in a healthy way. There's a healthy competition for a limited amount of spots because people want that spotlight. And, I mean, there's always new talent coming up and you have to keep yourself relevant. I mean, that's why I practice my craft of commentary and backstage interviewing and emceeing, hosting events, because there's a shit ton of great ring announcers out there and they can only pick one. Very rarely do you split a show with two ring announcers unless it's WrestleMania or, like a global-based event, WWE-based, AEW-based, and that's the goal to get to that level. That's awesome. But on most indie events, you got one announcer and you got one ring announcer and maybe anywhere from 1 to 3 commentators. So, yeah, I mean, but yeah, I've definitely learned sometimes you got to just know who you can be personal with and who just to stay professional with. And I've learned it the hard way, and it's no ill will to those people, no names or anything. And I've moved on. And it actually made me a stronger person in life and in the wrestling business. So, I mean, yeah, I think if you want to be successful in this business too, you have to go through struggle here and there, whether it's personally or professionally in the industry, because you really need to get knocked down every once in a while because you really do need. I mean, this isn't like some Rocky movie where you got to pick yourself back up, but you really do. It's not so much picking yourself up. You need to know how to dust yourself off and how to stand back up and how to not lose the confidence that you've instilled in yourself. Because sometimes setbacks can really screw people up in the brain, and then all that confidence that they've gained goes right out the window, and then they lose that confidence. And you can't go into a wrestling ring with no confidence. Whether you're a referee, a ring announcer, especially in-ring athletes, talent, you have to be in there because somebody else's life is in your hands, and you have to have that confidence, and you have to be confident that you got to be able to take heckling from people. It's everything. So, like I said, I've definitely grown stronger through my greatest triumphs and my tribulations.
I like that. I like that. I mean, all of that is like great information. This is great for people.
It's all
too, who are
straight
just like,
from the heart, man. Yeah, no. When you get David Adams, there's no bullshit right here. This ain't no script. I want to tell people because in a business of storylines and a lot of works, a lot of times it's hard to find the truth. Like I want to give people information. People ask me all the time how do I get started? Why do I love what I love to do? And I just and how do I keep myself going? I mean, shit, I'm proud to say that I currently actively announce for at least 10 different companies on like a Ferris wheel, on a rotating wheel. So, I mean, that's a cool stat. I don't know if any announcers work for 10 different companies. I mean, at one time, the most I ever worked for was like 20 different companies at one time. But there's only so many Saturdays in a month, and then eventually you got to start turning people down. And then, it hasn't always been like who paid me the most either. A lot of times it was who paid me more, but sometimes if you have a loyalty to somebody and they pay a little bit less versus the other place, it's good to also stay loyal to those companies that believed in you from the genesis of your craft as well. I mean, we are here to make money. I'm not going to be like, oh, we're not here to make money. Make your money. We're all, it's carnies. You want to sell your merch. You want to sell your persona. Make your money, your 8x10s, your T-shirts, any other souvenirs you have. Make your money, but don't make it all about the money. I mean, one day if you're in a position to be negotiating between who's going to pay you more between WWE or AEW, then you've done the right thing, and that's a different avenue. But don't make it always money based. Get paid and don't let them. I believe New Jack, may he rest in peace, once told me. He told a whole group of us. He goes, make sure you get paid. Don't let no promoter stick it in your ass, and make sure you provide for your family and don't let them fuck you. Always get paid. And New Jack was one of the kindest men I ever knew behind closed doors. That rugged exterior that you saw in the ring, that was for entertainment. But if you knew New Jack backstage, that guy, up until the day he passed, was always trying to help the younger talent rise to the surface and better themselves. And I always remember that. But he said, he's like, don't always get paid and don't let the promoters fuck you over. Yeah, don't let them fuck you in the ass, and make sure you always put food on your family's table. That's it, man. I mean, and stuff like that. I mean, I say it with a smile because his delivery was New Jack-esque, but I mean, it's the truth. And any talent right now with any years in the business is just doing this right now. Yep. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
right there.
yeah, I mean that's a straight up lesson for all the youngins. I know we're coming out of COVID. I know people want to work for free. I know people work for free because I can hear promoters, I can hear talent begging to get booked. I'll work for free, and that's cool. But if you do that, you put the majority of the power in the promoter's hands. The promoter has the power to book you. He has the power to book the venue. He has the power to pay you, but without you can have an event with no fans. I think COVID has proven that. You can have empty arena shows, but you cannot have an event without talent. So by working for free, I know you want to get your shit in, but you're telling that talent, this guy wants $80 for a booking. This guy will work for free. I'll take the guy that works for free. And then you get into a thing where they're just choosing free quality or free quantity over good quantity. I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Free quantity over good quality, basically. You probably that $80 talent's gonna give you a much better 6 to 8 minute match. Pull the curtain back a little bit than the newbie that's probably just barely ready for a battle royal with kicks and punches. I mean, that's honest. So, I mean, always make sure you get paid, and don't let the promoters con you and think that you need to work for. I mean, we say hot dog and a handshake, but the real one is exposure. I mean, everybody jokes about hot dog and a handshake, but if you're a young talent and the promoter's trying to get you to work for free for the exposure, even if you get, honestly, $20 is a good payday. Get something. $10. I guess $10. I've worked for $10 and $15 early on. I got an envelope with $5 in it once. So I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, honestly, if you're young, try and get at least that $20 bill, because the average seat for an independent wrestling show is $20. So if that promoter doesn't want to pay you $20, that promoter is telling you that you're not worth even one paid general admission ticket. And that's about what a general admission ticket for an indie show is, $20. Would you say?
Yeah. Sounds about right. Yeah.
So get your $20. At least the talent should or the promoter should respect you enough to pay you at least for one paid seat. I mean, that's the way I look at it. A lot of people may not look at it that way. This is just my own opinion, professional opinion, but it's an opinion. People don't talk of money a lot on the indies, and it's cool. But I think we could talk about what the minimum you should be getting at least is. Let's talk about minimum wage. The higher end guys, yeah, you don't talk about your money. Fuck that. Keep that shit to yourself. When you get established enough and you make your money, you keep your money to yourself. But minimum wage, in my professional opinion, should be $20. So for all you young kids watching, keep that in mind, and don't let the promoter con you. And get your $20 and get the free hot dog and the free sodas and the free snacks that are left in the snack stand. You grab all that shit. I'll tell you, I've had cheeseburgers hang out in my pocket with my envelope in my car. I'm like, hell yeah. I still got to buy food on the way home, but I'm getting free food, because what's he saying, Fast and the Furious? We hungry. So yeah, get paid and get paid and get fed, man. Take that free shit too, but don't just work for free, and don't just work for food.
I do love, I know there's a show in West Virginia, SCWA. Hi, Keith. He watches all the episodes. But yeah, so at the end of the night, they're always getting rid of all the food and stuff, and I'm just right there. I'm just I'll just take all these Pepsis with me right now, and it's $5.
Oh yeah, sodas too. Hell yeah, sodas, waters. I mean, you got yourself a smorgasbord. Hey, I'll tell you, I've still bought food on the way home, and I've saved that food, and that was in my lunch from my regular work job the next day. So hey, you got in this day and age with the shit we all went through over the past 2.5 years. Hey, save you, and that's another thing. Yeah, save your money. Wisely. Food is a must. You can't live without it. So if you can get free food, that saves you $5-10 here and there. A cheeseburger and a soda, you can spend $8 to $10 very easily on that. So yeah, that's it.
So listen, man, those are all my hard, heavy hitting questions. But we do have the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast. If you're wondering what the first is, it's the Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find every Sunday on our debate show. But this is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. And Mr. David, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. And whatever's your answer, that's your answer.
Man, this is like Family Feud. I since this is going to be round 2 of Family Feud, I get 25 seconds instead of 20 seconds, though.
Right.
Come on,
So
Steve Harvey. Put the time on the clock. Give me the 25 seconds, Steve.
we're going to put on the imaginary timer right now. And here we go. SmackDown or Raw? Favorite movie?
Back to the Future.
Okay, yeah, I love Back to the Future. Sonic or
Mhm.
Mario?
Mario.
Favorite color? PlayStation or Xbox?
I don't even know what an Xbox is.
Favorite broadcaster?
Favorite broadcaster? Current or not current?
Why not both?
Joey Styles all time as far as commentary goes, and actually, Joey Styles and Vince McMahon. Nobody gives Vince McMahon enough credit for his commentary. I'm actually and this isn't just a blow, you rub my nose on his ass or anything, but Vince McMahon is one of my favorite commentators of all time from the late '80s and early '90s. He was tremendous. He hits it with a clothesline, and he would make that clothesline feel like the biggest finishing move in the world. He seriously is, to this day, one of my favorite commentators.
Announcing or commentating?
Ring announcing will always be my baby. Boo, 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 boo. But commentary has added a whole lot more money envelopes to my yearly pay, so I am very appreciative for that. But always ring announcing till the day I die.
All right, favorite podcast?
Well, obviously, right now, the 3 Count Podcast. But I'm a big fan of the Bob Culture podcast with Rob Williams, and also the Daves at the 2300 Wrestling Podcast. Dave Keener and DB Richards, my broadcast colleague at IWA Vintage, making their debut in Westville Saturday night, April the 16th. At the Super Crazy Entertainment Center, 1030 Delcia Drive, Unit 4W in Westville, home of the best chicken fingers in all of Dirty Jersey. Next.
Nominate one person that you want to see on the podcast.
Nominate one person that I want to see on a podcast?
On this podcast.
Oh, on this podcast? I don't know if he's been on or not, but I would love to see the IWA Vintage owner, Atticus Reigns, on the podcast. He's kind of a quiet dude. Has he been on your podcast yet?
Not yet.
Get him on. Put him on. I noticed that he doesn't like to be in the spotlight. So, yeah, get him in the spotlight.
And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person that comes on here. Favorite curse word?
Fuck. Motherfuck. $15, little man. Put that shit in my head. Dude, it's got to be fuck. It's a noun. It's a verb. It's an adjective, it's an adverb, and it's just fun. And honestly, 99.9% of the time when I say fuck, it has nothing to do with sexual intercourse. It's something different, and it's something fun, and something. I usually use the word fuck for clean things. If digest what I just said there and see if that makes any sense. Yeah. Fuck.
Bet. Well, those are all my questions for you, man. So only thing I have left is let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Well, Facebook, you can find me. I believe I don't know if anybody does this, but facebook.com/DavidAdams.ringannouncer, because there's a lot of David Adams, but if you I'm sure we're mutual friends with Clifford. Just look up that David Adams. My Instagram, David_Adams_here. And my Twitter handle is Voice of the Ring. So, yeah, I mean, those are all pretty much set up for me. Also, if you want to book me for any business bookings, David Adams here at gmail.com. I think I set that up as well. So, as like a separate email just for business. Yeah. Otherwise, just come to a live show. Did I mention House of Glory Wrestling happening on Friday night, April the 15th at the NYC Arena in Queens, New York City? Did I mention that it's the return of in-ring action of the amazing Red as he defends that 6-way Cruiserweight Championship? And did I mention that the following Saturday night in Westville, New Jersey at the Super Crazy Entertainment Center, 1030 Delcia Drive in Westville, New Jersey, Unit 4W is IWA Vintage's debut at the Super Crazy Entertainment Center. And it should be a good time because I believe it's Blackout in a return grudge match against Riot City. There's going to be a women's tag team match Now, the only thing I know about the women's tag team match is that Atticus Reigns told Debbie Kane, who's been seen quite prominently at IWA Vintage and holds a 2-0 undefeated record in singles competition. Atticus said that she can pick any partner of her choosing, and they'll take on 2 women of Atticus Reigns' choosing. So I know Debbie Kane's in a tag match, but I don't know the other 3 combatants. But women's tag team action, that should be pretty gosh darn sweet. And if you saw the last event, I mean, there's so much great talent that is at IWA Vintage. You know what? Craig Z-List will be there. This guy, he says he's never on the posters, and Dave Dahl's never on the posters. I'm sure those 2 jabronis will be there. Craig Z-List entered the Australian Rules tag team match, which most people don't even know what Australian Rules is, but he entered that match as Riot City's Most Wanted manager, and he left the match as Blackout's manager. So that guy goes where the paychecks are the fattest, and he thinks he's got the biggest advantage to take over IWA Vintage. So, and then the fallout, Atticus Reigns gives Destiny, a fellow ring announcer and great valet and a great great person in the industry. So I thought for over 25 years, gave her an award for defeating cancer twice. And she cracked him in the head and literally cut him open. He was bloody as hell across his skull. She cracked him open. She cracked the picture frame over his skull. And this dude was bleeding everywhere. And there was glass everywhere. And I had to make the call and called an impromptu, quick intermission as we were coming out of intermission because there was glass everywhere. And I felt it was unsafe for the children and the talent and the fans alike. So, I mean, I love to hear what Atticus has to say. I tried to interview him after the show, and he was like, Dave, I just want to go home. He gave me my envelope, though, so I was like, yes, sir. And I was like, all right, leave the man alone. He needs to just be left alone. But, yeah, the fallout should be good. And, I mean, a great intimate venue in Westville. So I'm excited for it.
Me too. But, like every great part of a wrestling match, this man also gave you all of his tags, so you guys need to follow him, okay? But like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Ancient Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. That's right. You should be calling me your Sherpa, but like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And you see the man right there, the legend himself, David Adams here. So you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you just wait for this episode to end. You wait for that outro, and then you choose another episode to listen to. Peace.
Peace.
What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count _ pod. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow. Leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm / the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com / the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.